Hey everybody, it's Rob here. The HotA Earthquake Barb is finally in a good spot, hitting up to 100 trillion damage now, clearing 150. Blizzard has also updated the patch notes here, and we have 100% confirmation, fixed an issue where earthquake explosions were not benefiting from earthquake duration, and fixed an issue that was causing earthquake explosion to deal half of the intended damage. So we are fully online now, 2 weeks into the season. This earthquake build, where you basically explode your earthquakes with HotA, is finally like fully working, and I have gotten a lot of questions from you guys that we're gonna answer. We have the full build guide. We want to answer like which runes you take, what the best weapon tempering is, now that we also have duration and heavy hitter and earthquake chance to spawn twice in the mix. We're gonna talk about how we survive on this build. We're going to talk about which vampiric powers, like what these flowers are doing here, and also just in general how we cap our resistance and all these kind of questions that you guys have. So first of all, there is a planner that I'm going to link below. We also have gameplay linked below. This is going to be just combined information here, and we're going to talk about all the details here. I have some questions that I already wrote down, and we have some calculations here on several of the questions in a sheet. So all of that you can find in the description. So by far the most question that I have gotten is, how do I manage to basically explode my earthquakes, and what is going to be the best tempers? So the main principle of the build, guys, we use the tech rune, and the tech rune basically spawns earthquakes when we just, in our case here, stand still. So we have these earthquakes that we can then explode with our HotA. Boom, it creates a big, cool visual effect. It's really strong. So then you have to make a choice. Which tempers do you want? You have chance for earthquakes to cast twice, you have earthquake duration, and you have heavy hitter, which is giving you a significant multiplier. And the best way to approach this is whatever is giving you the highest damage in the end, right? Because essentially, earthquake duration is increasing our earthquake explosion damage. So we have an earthquake just on the ground here. Usually it only lasts for 4 seconds, but now with duration, we make it last longer. So because it lasts longer, it deals more damage over its entire duration. With the chest, we can explode this earthquake instantly. So that means the longer it would last, the more damage this explosion does in an instant to the enemy. So earthquake duration, just like flay barb and flay duration, is basically a separate multiplier in combination with HotA and the Mantle of the Mountain's Fury. So the longer the earthquake lasts, the more damage we do. So basically this is here 69% multiplicative damage. So is this one. The chance to cast earthquakes, this one is capped at 100%. Duration is uncapped because you can have 500% duration, but you cannot have more than 100% chance to spawn an earthquake. Because even if you have 110% chance to cast earthquake twice, you're still just going to cast it twice. You're never going to cast it 3 times or something crazy that I've read in the comments. So you can only have 100% chance to spawn earthquakes. And then we also have heavy hitter, which is uncapped, which is giving you 15% multiplicative damage. And now you basically must find the perfect combination of this to deal the most damage. So assuming you have perfect gear, equal values on each temper are the best in slot. So what that means is, since you have two-handed weapons, and here you have 100% value of these tempers. So you see, like I have 6 heavy-hander, 6 ranks to heavy-hander. If I have a one-hander, I get 12 heavy-hander if I have a two-hander. So you want to use the two-hander counts twice, basically. So you have 2 heavy-hitter, then you have 2 times earthquake duration, and you have 2 times chance to spawn earthquakes, which is, again, 1 time, but on a two-handed weapon. And that is basically the most optimal setup. You can see here the final multiplier comes out to 15 extra damage. So you have double duration, double chance on a two-hander, double heavy hitter on a two-hander in my case. And this turns out to be the most DPS. You can see the max rolls here. And if you just shift the values here, like I had this before, it's always less. So here I have a value of 2 times duration, 1 time chance, and heavy hitter normally. So this doesn't work. This is actually 1, 2. It works, but it's way less damage, basically. So you want to be aiming for the equal 2, 2, 2 values, basically. So that's how you have the most DPS. It's going to be a bit nerdy video here, for sure. Then the next question I get a lot is, how do you max your res? So you see, this is my resistance in-game. And what you need to do to max your res is follow my Paragon board. You can see it in the description. And you should get at least 2 res rolls. 1 on your pants, 1 on your boots. And this usually fixes it in combination with Soothing Spice. Boom, you see, I have all my res exactly kept. And I don't even have all the Paragon nodes in. Like, there's more res nodes I could take, like this one here. But I don't need it because I already have perfect res like this. So I didn't even triple crit anything. I just have 1 res roll here and 2 res rolls here. Not even greater affix. And this kind of fixed it for me. So that's how you get res. Then I get a lot of questions like why you use the Ugly Bastard and how do you get cooldown. So we're using Wrath of the Berserk cooldown. We're using Groundstorm cooldown. And we're using Wrath of the Berserk cooldown on the ring. And another Wrath of the Berserk plus Groundstorm cooldown on the amulet. Plus we have Bolt Chieftain. This is kind of fixing most of your cooldown issues. And Shaco would be nice, but Ugly Bastard gives us double damage. And if you want to do high pits, double damage is the king. I get a lot of questions as well, like, Rob, why don't you play the Whirlwind Barb anymore or something? You can play both builds. So what the best is, Whirlwind Barb without HotA, just normal Whirlwind Barb with Earthquakes is the best for speedruns. If you want to farm XP, you want to do the open world, you want to farm Obduxite, Nightmare Dungeons, Hordes, Whirlwind Barb is your pick. Only if you want to do high pits, aka pit 150, then the HotA Barb with this is the best choice. Or you want to have some fun with this build, you know, because it looks cool, then it's also a great choice. And then you want to play Ugly Bastard because this is giving you so much DPS, it's giving you a lot of toughness. And I also did test aggressive resistance, so a lot of people asked this as well. Aggressive resistance right now has a bug where you see the visual effect does not go up. However, the actual damage reduction that you get works. So it's still worth it. This one here currently gives me 40% damage reduction and is one of the main ways to survive in high pit tiers. Then obviously we play the Mantle of the Mountain's Fury. I got super lucky. I just got this one today and got a triple roll. I spent all my Obduxite pretty much on this, so I'm broke on Obduxite. I still need to triple crit my weapons, but this already works. Then we are playing Fist of Fate. This is just the biggest multiplier that we can get. It's a 1.5x generic damage multiplier, really strong. You want to ideally triple crit the crit chance. Then now we are playing the leap aspect here on the pants. The main reason we play this is not because we use leap. We don't use any leap. The main reason is, just ignore the first sentence. It gives you 30% damage reduction and 60% damage. And we don't have this on the amulet anymore, so we can get another multiplier in here. In this case, it's Inner Calm. And then we have boots here again with Res, Warcry, full DPS, Earthquake size. I like this. So we dropped the size on the amulet and we got it on pants plus boots. Then we rock Groundstorm Earthquakes here. Now we actually use Groundstorm. However, Groundstorm is not really used to like DPS. Groundstorm is used to reset our Call of the Ancients, our Wrath of the Berserk. It's used to stun the enemy and also to give us Fury if we need to. If you ever run out of Fury, you can just use Groundstorm and boom, your Fury is full again. So it's pretty chill. And it is pretty strong. Runes, we use Lift Tech. Again, this is high pits, so we're just standing still for 0.6 seconds. And then we trigger Earthquakes. You see here the Earthquakes, as long as I'm attacking here, they will just keep triggering and then I can keep exploding them. And we're dealing a lot of damage like this. And also the sheet damage is going to go up pretty substantially. Like if I keep attacking here, and we basically make the full rotation work. We'll talk about the rotation here in a second as well. You can kind of see we can keep the Wrath, and we'll already be hitting like some pretty good numbers here. They are 22 trillion, boom. And you see how kind of the attack power goes like to 2.8 and stuff. And then later on you also do a snapshot, 45 trillion, and the attack power goes even crazier, right? Like, just always keep that in mind. There's a lot of variant buffs. We're also going to talk about the snapshots. So this is the weapon. Then we use swords here for crit damage. And then I get the question asked a lot, Rob, do I take crit damage or do I take vulnerable damage? And the answer is it doesn't matter. You have 100% crit and you have 100% vulnerable uptime thanks to your Shaken Soul. So it's always up and it doesn't matter if you take crit damage or vulnerable damage. It's the same on the offhand here. You can take a polearm. This is not for Whirlwind. We're talking HotA. You can take the polearm or you can take a sword. I have a sword right now because that's what I had with double GAs. My polearm only has 1 GA. But crit damage and vulnerable damage in this build has the same value, basically. It's just additive, both of them. Then we rock Bolt's Chieftain. This one obviously reduces your cooldown. I would like to have a greater affix of crit chance here, because right now I'm rocking like 95% crit. I don't have 100%. So it would help a lot here to have the GA crit and then maybe even get one of the hits. So I'm just out of Obdoxide right now. So the attack speed here is not really that great. However, we can use it with Bash, so this helps a lot. Since I forgot to mention it, guys, we use Bash to overpower. Our HotA itself cannot overpower unless we use Bash. So you see this little icon here, like you bash a few times. And then you see at 4 your next core skill will overpower. And then you see now my HotA will now overpower and it will grant me damage. Boom, you see my damage always goes up. And the overpower gives you almost double the damage. That's why it's so important, because you're getting 40% damage here. You're also getting another 12% damage from Warpath. And you're getting another 12% damage from Brilliance. And you're getting another 20% damage from Decimator. So you're getting 1.4, 1.21, 1.21, and 1.2. That's more than double damage if you're using HotA and Bash. But you need Bash to overpower. It might be a bit annoying, guys, I know. But basically the rotation looks like this. You Bash all the time. And then every now and then when you see 4 stacks, you HotA. Bash, HotA. This already does a lot of damage, as you can see. Bash, HotA. So this is the main principle. Just Bash and HotA. Now you can add your War Cries. You basically just cast your War Cries whenever you can. And then, okay, sometimes they bug out, like here. You see, sometimes Bolt's Chieftain. Bolt Chieftain has a bug. Sometimes it just doesn't work. It's still not fixed. But you can see, like, it just happened, basically. Like, I casted my Bolt's Chieftain. There are 5 enemies, but it doesn't reset the cooldown. It should have. But the main principle still stays the same. So, Bash, 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 HotA. Bash, 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 HotA. And the HotA will also explode the Earthquakes, and it will overpower and increase your damage further. And then you can add Wrath of the Berserk into the mix. Now we press our shots again. Wrath of the Berserk can also be kept up with just using our Groundstorm. You can see our Groundstorm resets our Wrath of the Berserk thanks to the Rune. And like this, we can keep up everything permanently, basically. Just don't forget to HotA every now and then. Like I hold down Bash and I tap HotA. That's it. Because you can only spawn 2 Earthquakes every second anyway, so you don't have to HotA too much. And just make sure you keep your Wrath up. Before it runs out, you want to press it again, so you can keep the damage buff. You can like kind of see this on the attack power side. Like, you need to keep it up. Like if I drop it, my attack power will go down substantially. You see here, we have 2 million. If I drop it here, it goes down. So you definitely want to keep it up, and then my attack power will go up again whenever we spend the Fury. And it will go up to 2.6 or something. Just want to make sure to keep it up, basically. And click it before it runs out, and then you won't drop. 2.8, you see. And it goes down even higher after you do the snapshots, which I can't do here. This also allows you to keep up your Starless Sky. You want to click HotA every 3 seconds, right? To keep up your Starless Sky, you see this is the icon here. I think I did it not even like fully correctly. But you definitely want to keep up your Starless Sky. Only if you do everything, you also have enough Fury to do this. So there is a bit of stuff to keep track on, basically. But see, when you do everything correctly, you can always check with your attack power. And your attack power is pretty damn high. And this also will work in the run. You don't need to always HotA at 4 stacks. You can also HotA at 2 stacks. And then you get the HotA at the next rotation. Because HotA lasts a bit longer. HotA lasts for 5 seconds with the overpower. So that's going to be fine. So that's the Starless Sky. Ideally, you want to triple crit the crit chance here. And then the Amulet here. Heavy-handed is the best. Right now I have Pit Fighter because I was struggling a little bit to survive. However, if you have greater affix later, like if you have live greater affix, it's going to be fine. But ideally, counter-offensive here is the best. And ideally, you want to triple crit the strength. However, I'm just out of Obdoxide. The strength is double dipping. Strength gives you multiplicative damage for your main stat, and it also gives you multiplicative damage here for your executioners. So very, very important. Expertise, guys, we have no choice now, so that's why we also don't need a polearm. Both Bash and HotA can only be used with a bludgeoning mace. So you need to use your 200 mace, that's it. You cannot choose. So you just have the expertise, and then you use a mace. There's no choice here. It's the best multiplier. Okay, then we quickly go over the abilities. So there's a ton of options here, actually. You need Bash, you need HotA, you need Warpath. You need 3 points here, 3 points here, 2 points here, 2 points here for bleeds. Now, you have some options. You don't necessarily need Raid Leader. This is going to help you with healing and surviving. You don't need Good Shell Yell. It's just going to help you with surviving. What you can do is unspec these. If you want more damage, you max Warcry. If you want a bit more cooldown on Ground Stomp, if your rolls might suck, like I have like decent rolls on my gear, like 28 you see here. My pants have 34. If your rolls are really bad, you can also max Ground Stomp. See, it reduces the cooldown by another 1.5 seconds. However, right now I'm still struggling surviving a little bit. Because I don't have GA items on a lot of the stuff. Like I need like GA items almost everywhere basically. Here I'm missing GA, here I'm missing GA, here I'm missing GA. Like the life is very important to have. So right now I need a bit more healing. But in the end you want to go full DPS. Again, we max resistance, big toughness. We max all of this. We max counter-offensive. Now this one here is the same defensive stance. You don't necessarily need it. You can use those 3 points to put in Warcry, whatever you like. I just like toughness right now. Heavy hitter maxed, heavy-handed maxed, Wrath maxed, unconstrained maxed. Paragon, I don't think there are that many options. However, you do not need 300 Paragon to play this build. I have a 250 Paragon version below. What you want to play is Iron the starter board. And then you want to either get all the res if you need it, unless you have max res already like me. Like my res is fine, so I don't need it. But this is going to help you with res if you need more res. Here you can, if you're missing lightning res, you can also skill this. Weapons Master, we have Rumble Glyph, we have Challenger with Decimator. And since I'm pretty high Paragon, I also like to take a few nodes into Healing Received. This is going to help you a lot with survivability, because you can see sometimes in the run, you might run out of healing. Healing is basically pretty important. We are using the cycle here. This one heals us pretty crazy, like 10% of our maximum life. And we just keep spawning these flowers. You see here, when I just go over these flowers, it's going to heal me. Boom, boom. It just heals me back up, basically, to full. So it is pretty cool to have healing like that. However, like it just helps me a lot to have some extra healing. Like this is just going to increase the healing income. However, in the end game, like if you have really good gear, you don't need this. Just go full DPS, basically. Then we have Marshall here, really important to get the multiplier here to close enemies, because this is going to max out your Force of Nature. In general, guys, you want to have a mix of close damage and berserking damage. I think I have 1 berserking damage on this weapon and then close damage here. You want a bit more close than you want berserking, but it's very easy to max both multipliers. You just need enough 500 close to max out Force of Nature, and 450 berserking to max out Blood Rage. However, there is a bug. You cannot rely on the tooltip for close because of Pit Fighter. You see, my Pit Fighter is adding a bunch of close damage, but this is not real, and this is not added to Force of Nature. So you just want to make sure you have 500% like from your normal gear, basically. And then up here we have Revenge, and this is a Thorns glyph. However, we don't play a Thorns build, but this is the best glyph you can get because it gives you 15 multiplicative and 10 multiplicative. And the way we trigger it, and also the way we trigger the bleeds now, since we don't use a polearm, we use 1 point in Outburst and 1 point in Tough as Nails. This is going to trigger all your bleeds, because whenever anything hits you, and this is going to happen in high pits, it's going to start bleeding. And it's also going to take Thorns damage, which then obviously triggers your Revenge Glyph, which is a pretty big damage multiplier. And then obviously Blood Rage here and some defense. So that's the principle. Then we have the Wish Power. We already talked about Cycle. Really good. And because we don't have Piranado now, guys. We don't have any Piranado. And for that, we're going to go into Planner because I feel it's better to show there. We use Hungering Void. This one basically, as long as you have an aura, is going to pixel pull. It's going to suck in, pull in all the enemies to you. And this is really important to also do the snapshot. I made a full video about snapshots. I'm going to link that below. In this build, it is crucial to snapshot Soul Harvest. The way you do this, you collect 60 monsters 64 monsters to be precise. Because these stacks down here, these here, it says like a little 5 right now, because there's 5 enemies. But whenever you use the pixel pulling, you can pixel up to 60 monsters at the start of the run and get 64% extra main stat. Right now, you notice here, I only have 5.6k main stat. However, if I do the snapshot correctly, I have over 8,000. Now, this was an older screenshot from 2 days ago. But this is the one I have. You see here, I have 8,000 or 7,900 main stat. I've seen barbarians up to 9,000 main stats. So you just need to have the proper snapshot. AKA, you need to wait before, it's going to be a bit annoying, but you need to wait before you cast your first cooldown spell until you have 64 monsters in range. And then you cast your first cooldown spell. And then it's going to stay up until the run closes. I really still hope that Blizzard is fixing this, because this is a negative snapshot. If you cast it at 2 enemies, and even you cast it later at 60 enemies, it will not refresh. The core stat will not change. This number here will change, but your actual stat will not change. So you need to snapshot Soul Harvest. It is really important. It gives you more than double damage, because, again, you are double dipping with the strength. You're getting the strength main stat, and you're getting the strength from Executioner. So you must absolutely, well, I mean, you don't must, but if you want to do high pits, you really, really should snapshot. I know it sucks. I know Blizzard should fix it. They haven't done this, and it's still in the game. Other vampiric powers is we have Aura Specialization, and then we have Aura of Misfortune. This really helps the monster not do anything. It also gives you movement speed. Then we have the Soul Harvest. We have Shaken Soul. This one keeps everything vulnerable permanently, very easily. And then we have the Hexer Whispers. That is basically gonna hex the enemies, and it's also gonna give you your Fortify, and your Fortify is really important and exactly what you kind of need. So as long as you have this combination active, it works very well. There is some options here, however, I definitely recommend this one, and it works really well. And then the other 2 occult gems are like pretty standard, I would say, somewhat standard at least. They are the Fiend of Bug for extra main stat, extra life, and the Moonlight Ward for damage reduction and max res. This is how we have such decent res values. There are a couple other options you could take, but these I think are the best ones. You could take crit chance, you can take like a bunch of stuff. But this is, from my experience, the best one. And the healing here from the flowers, again, is really important to survive in the run. Okay, let me go through the last questions here. I have some more. Yeah, why we use Bash? I mean, this is basically the overpower stuff here that got asked a lot. Why don't we use Leap? I think we already touched on this briefly, but so many people get confused by the Leap sentence here. Just ignore Leap. Like, Leap is not good. All your damage is coming from the Tech Rune. Tech Rune has way more damage than Leap ever could. And the Leap animation is not that nice. So we only use this for toughness and for the multiplier. And then we also have Inner Calm now, because we just stand still, everything gets sucked in, and we use our Earthquakes and HotA and just smash everything down. The gameplay video is going to be below. Fury problems. So if you, for some reason, have Fury problems, and some people ask this because they have Fury problems. Again, if you do the playstyle right, you're not going to have Fury problems, because you can just use your generator. That's what a generator is for. It generates Fury. So if you see yourself with a Fury problem, you're playing wrong. You need to hold down Bash, like hold it down, and then use HotA. You don't want to just HotA. Like HotA doesn't do anything. You need to overpower. HotA does not deal any damage, and you can have earthquakes like stacked on the ground and then explode them all together. You don't need to explode the earthquakes every second. You can keep letting the tech runes stack. You can have like, I don't know, 8 stacks and then explode them, right? Like now, boom. And then it like creates this like chain reaction. You don't have to constantly HotA. You run out of fury, you just bash. That's it. Very simple. How to survive? So what you can do, and this also has to do with your pre-buff. So what I'm using, this also goes in the Paragon node. So in the pits right now, I'm using Elixir of Fortitude, boom. I'm using Spiral Morning. This is like similar to Tross of War. It gives me 60 all stats. You can see here, without this, I currently do not have the damage reduction multipliers from Grift and also not from Restrotave. I think I'm also missing some here. You see like all the stats that I'm missing, and I can just use the Spiral Morning, and after I use this, all these go green. So boom. You see I have exactly 530 willpower, 530 willpower, and the dexterity requirements we have a bit overcapped. And if you don't quite reach those numbers, you can always adapt. See, I have like some dex here that I can put off. Like say you need willpower, you just put willpower here. Because this is the Challenger glyph, it basically multiplies all your stuff by 2. And then to get more all stats, I also recommend here in the Force of Nature board, you can use willpower 26. This is basically going to give you 50 dex, 50 willpower for 2 points. Because the Martian glyph is multiplying it. And with that, I definitely recommend trying to aim for these last stats here on the boards. Again, you can change the odd border if you like, but I feel all the nodes are pretty important. There's not really anything you really want to skip, because it all gives you life. Even here, it gives you res, you know, like all res. This is probably the board you could skip the most, but I still like to have it because it just gives you more stuff. And all right, so Spiral Morning, super important. Next, we have Soothing Spice. For obvious reasons, this one just helps you max the res. It also gives you more maximum resistance, really good. And then we have the Rediment Bust. This one just gives you more life. And then what I like to do, if you don't have this good gear yet, use Elixir of Fortitude. This one is going to give you a ton of life and just going to help you to survive. See here, we have 25,000 life now when we're buffed. And also we have like a ton of DPS when we do everything right here. And the attack power goes up pretty crazy. So this is like the recommendation right now. And then alternatively, you can also use, if you want offensive and you don't have 100% crit yet, you can use Elixir of Precision. Because right now I think my crit is not that great. Yeah, see if I use this one, we have 91 crit. And alternatively, right now I'm using Igni Om. You can also use Rune here if you like, because we have Warcry on our bar. However, with Igni we can reach 100% uptime on Warcry, and this really helps us a lot with DPS. However, again, you can also use the Rune, or I've even seen people use the Zek Rune to keep your Wrath the Berserk up permanently on the boss in a high pit push. There are like a few videos already, but most people, and I think right now the #1 guy, PXX, who was also like a Flay Barb Blaster, was still playing with the bugged Shroud. Right now there's a bug with Shroud of False Death that gives you 2 key passives, well, double the key passive basically. However, this new setup is really cool, and I think once it's optimized, it's gonna be pretty much as strong, if not even stronger. But you do need quite some gear, guys, especially survivability can be kind of tough. You really want a good mix. I recommend at least 20,000 life buffed, ideally more. Max res and max armor. Like armor is no problem because we have the Mantle of the Mountain Steward. This is gonna like fix all your armor issue, and you also have big strength, especially during the late game. You're gonna have a ton of strength, and you don't have to worry about any of the strength stuff. However, what you do have to worry about is survivability, and I feel like damage reduction is a must. You want a high life pool, 2.9 million attack power here on this build now, 24k life and 2.4k armor, max res, max armor. All the stuff helps you a lot, and that's pretty much it, guys. This is like how my things look when I'm buffed. This is like 2 days ago, so I'm probably going to be even stronger right now. Again, planner is going to link below, guys. Barb is pretty cool. This is a ton of fun, and the visuals are just amazing. Like, I really like just, you know, exploding my earthquakes and having a great time on this barbarian. I hope you do too, guys. Good luck out there. And again, this is just for high pits, else whirlwind spin to win is still king. Let's go, GG. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe, leave a like or a comment. I'm also live on Twitch almost every day, so come and say hi.